I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Well, we thought we'd have some fun today and do something a little bit different. And in looking and creating this talk about mothers, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to look at what mothers of famous men might have said? For example, Michelangelo's mother. Mike, can't you paint the walls like other children? Do you know how hard it is to get the paint off the ceiling? Imagine Einstein's mother. But Albert, it's your senior picture. Can't you do something about your hair? Like some mousse or comb it? And then, of course, there's George Washington's mother. The next time I catch you throwing money across the Potomac, I'm going to stop giving you an allowance. Well, Mother's Day is always a special time here at Unity Church of Maui to honor our mothers and the mother within us and the motherly love that we get to share as spiritual beings having a physical experience. And to help us experience motherly love, we thought we'd tie in this great book that you've been hearing about frequently, Rick Hanson's book, Resilient, How to Grow an Unshakable Core of Calm, Strength, and Happiness. And we're tying that together about motherly love and how can we embrace this love in a resilient way. And we've come up with 3 steps, and they are briefly know it, feel it, and go into it. And so we're going to actually show you these steps today, and we'll practice them together. And we know that there's a powerful technique that can change the way that you think to experience and express more love in your life. And what we did was we videotaped, did 3 videotapes of people in our congregation who are experiencing and talking about motherly love. So let's start right off the bat with Catherine Macon's video. Here it is.
I'm due to have my baby November 19th, so it'll be a Thanksgiving baby. Very exciting. I'm gonna be a mother. A mother, like what does that look like? What does that feel like? What is good, there's so much uncertainty and unknown, but also, like beauty and excitement and yeah. And I actually had a little bit of a rough upbringing, just, like my own emotional stuff. And so there was a part of me that was always afraid to be a mother because of, how influenced we are by our moms. But, just through growing up and life and growth, maturity, I feel like I've gotten to the point where it's something I'm really looking forward to and I'm excited about. My husband and I have been planning for a while, and so it's exciting to finally be for it to be happening. A little scary at the same time, because there's so much unknown. And when I first found out I was pregnant, I sort of rushed to try to figure out all the plans for stuff. Like, okay, when how I'm gonna give birth and where and who's gonna be there and what's gonna happen afterwards. And now I'm sort of like, okay, well, that's many, many months away, and just sort of taking a breath and more just settling into to adjusting, but also trying to stay in touch with myself and with God, and get used to this other being around me and being there, and going through lots of body changes, emotional changes, the nausea, and I was like, oh my goodness, my body's not my own anymore. There's this whole other thing that's happening, and that was a bit of a wake-up call, and it's like, gosh, that's a good introduction to, I think, how the rest of my life is going to be, and sort of settling into that of okay, well, my body's not my own anymore, my life isn't my own anymore, and I don't know, it's really beautiful to me.
you, Catherine. Catherine points to a very important part of this journey, and that's the know it. And what Rick Hanson points out in this book, and certainly Catherine pointed out in her share, is that we have multiple feelings about things. We can have fear, and we can have love and excitement. We can have anger, and we can have understanding and compassion. And what is ours to do is to identify that, okay, I know there's this fear going in my body. I know there's this anger. I know there's this shame going on. But what do I really want? I want wholeness. I want beauty. I want wisdom. I want strength to carry me through so that we can actually apply our affirmation of truth on top of or alongside that fear, or that I don't know what it's going to be like to be a mom. But I recognize that something's happening in me. And I think each of us has been in the situation where something new we're stepping into. It might be a relationship or a new job or retirement. But we always want to know where we are and what is.
And metaphysically, deciding to have a child is a huge step. You know, it's like deciding, I'm making this decision, and you might remember the time that you decided to embark on your spiritual journey. And in a sense, you're giving birth to something that you don't know where it's going to be, what it's going to look like, how you might end up. And there can be some fear and excitement about that journey as well. It's like, oh, I know it's time for something to change in me, for me to change the way that I'm thinking, but what's that going to be like? How will I be? Will I still be able to do the things that I love if I embrace this spirituality that wants to express itself as me?
And the author, Elizabeth Stone, makes this really powerful truth in another way of looking at it. Making the decision to have a child, it's momentous. It is to decide forever to have your heart go walking around outside your body. Welcome to the journey, Catherine. But isn't this what it is whenever we step into something new? And as we realize that we're stepping into our oneness with God, we don't really know how we're going to make that work. We just hold the vision that it is, that we're going to open to that truth of being. And the way to do it is to step out into it, or step fully into it by knowing it.
And that is just to know. Oh, there's two different parts of this. There's a part that is challenging and I'm a bit afraid of it, and there's a part that I'm really excited about it. And the first step is just to know it, just to realize it. Oh, this is what's happening, and I can be okay with it, and just be with it.
I think the thing that I value most about being a mother is the personal growth journey it became. I thought I was going to be a teacher to Erin, and it turns out she has become my greatest teacher in life. Oh, there are so many spiritual truths I've learned being a mom. And I think the top one is unconditional love. Something that I didn't grow up with. The love I grew up with was conditional. And then happiness and joy and laughter and fun and peace. And so as a parent, I made sure, I developed a motto, feel what you're feeling, and I made sure that I gave Erin the space for her to feel what she was feeling. And I also gave her the space, I believe, to have her own dreams and to play those out and explore those. And they may last for years or a shorter time, but they were hers to explore, and I allowed her to follow her own inner guidance.
I learned from my mom that just follow your dreams that you have and just go with it. And if it changes, then just go with the flow. One of the things that I like most about her is how she makes you laugh and just makes the day great. Mom, I love you so much. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Erin.
I love the part where Carol says, I thought I was going to be the teacher. Yeah. And it turns out Erin is the teacher. Ever happened to you that you think, oh yes, I'm the wise one. I have the spiritual knowledge. And then it seems like just about the time that we get into that place of thinking that we have it all, something shows up and says, really? Why don't you try this one on for size, Mr. Wise One?
And Rick, in his book, points to this next step, which is to feel it. So once we've identified what is, it's important to feel it. And if that's feeling, I'm a little afraid here. I'm a little angry here. Well, it only takes about 90 seconds to feel a feeling where it's been felt. Everything else is just yammering on about it. And we can spend 90 seconds with any feeling. But when we feel it, we can begin to identify that that's our step to unconditional love. Because if we're always relying upon our ego to guide us, we're not going to be stepping into our truth. So I know what is, and then feel our feeling just the way it is.
And that can be about feeling the whole feeling. You know, sometimes we learn that we should not feel the things that aren't comfortable. And what we're talking about here really is feeling it all. Feeling certainly what feels comfortable and embracing that, and feeling what doesn't feel so comfortable and knowing that that is there also. And we want to really spend a preponderance of our attention on the what feels good, but we also want to be aware that there are other feelings, have you noticed, moving through your consciousness that aren't always so pleasant. And so we don't want to chase them away, but we'll talk about in the next step what to do with those uncomfortable feelings. And a lot of what we're talking about is mindfulness. You know, being mindful means being able to pay attention to what's going on in the moment. What are you feeling? What are we thinking? What is present right now? Because I don't know about you, but I always have a barrage of thoughts moving through my head. Some of them are comfortable and some of them not so much. And so mindfulness is just being able to embrace them and to be with them.
And Erin in the video really highlighted that by saying, follow my dream. And then when things change to a different course, which is what is going to happen, identify it, feel it, go with the flow. Beautiful. Washington Irving was an 18th century writer and theorist, essayist, and a diplomat. And he has a real profound acknowledgement of the mother. A mother is the truest friend. When troubles thicken around us, still will she cling to us and endeavor by her kind precepts and counsels to dissipate the clouds of darkness and cause peace to return to our hearts. And this is what we find when we're in the presence of our mother. It might be our grandmother. It might be an aunt we have a deep connection with. It could be an uncle we have a deep connection with. It could be a dog who's a real dear friend. There's so many mothers that embody that presence when we're walking through the shadow, when we're facing those times in our lives that aren't easy.
And we want to be with that motherly love inside ourselves, because that's really what we're developing. And many of us may not have been taught to really mother ourselves and to love ourselves. And so we're developing this skill of motherly love so that we can totally be with ourselves no matter what we are experiencing, and just to love ourselves. So now we've got another video. This is Emily Goss and her mother, Jenny.
My favorite thing, that I have loving, wonderful children.
My mom is unconditionally loving. She never has a negative word to say about anybody. That when we were growing up, she would be the first to help anyone in need. And if somebody was sick, she'd bring a casserole over. And if someone needed a ride, she'd volunteer. And that has, I learned by her example that you give, that you love unconditionally, and that you help people. In return, people respond to her with so much love, and people want to be around her. And so it's kind of like what you put out there in the world. When you put out all this positive energy, then you get it back. And all my life, she's told me how smart and competent I am.
She is. She's very brilliant girl.
But the other thing you did that was wonderful is that you would drop everything when we got home and listen to us and ask us about how our day was, and listen for as long as we wanted to talk about what had happened during the day, and totally non-judgmentally, without any interjection of right or wrong, but you just listened to us. And that was a beautiful, beautiful gift that you gave us to listen so well.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Let's do this wonderful song together. Sunshine, my only sunshine, you make me happy when the skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Beautiful.
Thank you. And Jenny is 96 years old. Woo! And like Emily said, everybody loves her. She's never alone for dinner, or because people just want to be around her. They're attracted to her, looking for help to help with her. People meet her and they're like, oh yes, I want to help. I want to be a part of her life. She's a great teacher for us about unconditional love and being present. And I like this quote from Nancy Friday, who wrote My Secret Garden. She says, "When I stopped seeing my mother with the eyes of a child, I saw the woman who helped me give birth to myself."
It's part of this becoming whole. And by going into it, we realize that there's more to every situation than we thought it was going into it. That life isn't just going from A to B. Or if we do, we might have to go around many different ways or go down the hill or back up again. There's very few times we just have a straight shot to whatever we're doing. And certainly being a mom, being a child, being adult, being a human being is a momentous choice. And we're giving birth to ourselves right now. And the truth that Rick Hanson has brought to this is this step of going into it.
So what he's talking about is when we go into it, we're going into the joyous feeling. Yeah, if you want to feel the oneness opposed to feeling separate, focus on the oneness. Focus on the allness. And really, use your imagination. I think it's so helpful in this to really visualize that you're going into that oneness part of yourself and to feel that oneness and just to imagine what that oneness feels like and just expand it and almost turn up the volume, I think is a term that Rick Hanson uses, to turn up the volume on that feeling. And then he says, and then in the same way, let the fear melt away and to visualize it actually dissipating and disappearing.
So what in your life can be dissipated so that you can feel that wholeness? That, as Rick Hanson calls it, our core, unshakable core of calm, strength, and happiness. There's lots of things in life that can steer us into where we think, uh-oh, this isn't what I was planning. Maybe we can turn it to, oh, I wonder what I'm planning here. And go into it, step into it, and realize that there's more fruit to be harvested. There's a lot more opportunity given to us than we ever knew possible.
So just be with it. Be with the feeling that you want to experience. And just embrace it, embody it, turn it up. Because what we're doing is we're actually shifting the way that our brain thinks. We have the ability to do that. Rick Hanson's a neuroscientist, and a lot of what he talks about is that we have the ability to actually change the way that we think. And when we focus on the positive, that which we desire, and let go of that which we don't desire, the things that we don't desire dissipate, and we embrace, embody, and experience the positive or that which we desire.
Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, at 94, said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. That's going into it. That's going into it with, I will face no matter what it is, and I will vanquish all those and have a great life.
I love those words. Because a lot of this, we want to use our imagination and words that have feeling to them. I love Charles Fillmore's use of the word sizzle, right? I fairly sizzle sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, right? It's like I can picture that bacon in the frying pan.
I'm hungry.
And I am fairly sizzling with that which I desire, with love and joy and peace and enthusiasm and power.
And then we find we're more and more around people who reflect that to us. Because as we breathe into that enthusiasm, that joy for being, we attract birds of a feather, flock together.
All right. So, know it, feel it, and go into it. And we'll end with this story today. This is titled, it's written by Davida Dalton, and it's titled His Mother's Footsteps, and a mother tells this story. She says, "It was a busy day in our home, but then with 10 children and another on the way, every day was just as hectic as the next. On this particular day, I was having trouble even doing routine chores, all because of one of my little boys. Len was 3, and he was on my heels no matter where I went. Every time I stopped and turned around, poof, there he was, and I would end up tripping over him. Several times, I patiently suggested fun activities. I said, "Wouldn't you like to go and play on the swings?" And he would smile his sweet, innocent smile and say, "That's okay, Mommy. I'd rather be here with you." And then he would continue to bounce happily along behind me. After stepping on his toes for the 5th time, I began to lose my patience and insisted that he go out and play with the other children. But again, he gave me that wonderful smile and refused. And when I asked, "Why are you doing this?" he said, "Well, Mommy, in church, my teacher told me to walk in Jesus' footsteps. But I can't see him, so I'm walking in yours." I am grateful for the many channels through which motherly love flows.
Rick Hanson's book is filled with wonderful practical tools. And throughout the book, he invites us to go inward and to experience a truth. So as we go into this meditation, let's get comfortable, take a deep breath. And I'd like you to bring into mind someone you really care about. Anyone you care about, and bring that person right in front of you and shower them with the love you just care so much about this person. And now, knowing what that feels like, let's take a turnaround. 180 degrees, and let's bring to mind individuals, a parent, a child, a dog, your spiritual consciousness caring for you right now. Look into the eyes or in the heart of being cared, appreciated, acknowledged. It's all right to be cared for. It's the very virtue and essence of motherly love. And as we feel this energy of unconditional love and caring, we then go into it. Allow your body to expand into a feeling of being caring, supported, acknowledged, appreciated. As we take a moment in the silence. Divine Mother, we embrace this clarity to know it, to feel it, to go into it. It's a wonderful journey to accept the responsibility of being whole. And as we use these steps, we can walk more fully into this day. And for this, we are so grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Where I live, there are rain.